Good morning, Oklahoma. Welcome to Cow-Calf Corner on SUNUP TV, and thank you for joining us this morning. This week, we're going to talk about freeze branding. And over the months of the past year, we've discussed the importance of individual ID in animals as we look at herd performance. We think about selection and culling decisions. It's important that we've got individual IDs in our cows and bulls. And so we are fortunate this morning to be joined by Jeremy Leister. Jeremy is the headquarters manager here at the Purebred Beef Cattle Center. And Jeremy's kind of earned a reputation as an artist in this particular application of ID. So we're going to talk to him today about what we call the OSU Purebred Beef Cattle Center way of doing freeze brands. Jeremy, to begin, what materials do we need? I know as we get into this, we always deal with, well, it's a little more complicated than a fire brand, takes a little more time, we got a little more expense tied up in it at the beginning. What materials do we need here at the onset?
Well, yeah, Mark, I mean, the best thing that I could say that proper planning would lead to the most effective freeze brands, and really finding out where your dry ice will come from. And typically that's going to be on a full day's worth of cattle, you're going to be looking at 40 to 50 pounds of dry ice, which can be found at any Homeland grocery store or air gas or something, oil supply store will have some dry ice. You'll need, our particular practice, we use methanol that comes from an oil supply store. We actually go down to Cushing, Oklahoma, and they'll sell us methanol in 5-gallon buckets, and that's usually running about $20 to $25 per bucket of methanol, which will last you quite a while. And another big important part is finding the brands, and I think that's as important as anything. You're going to look for the brass brands that typically have about a 2-foot handle for ease of application, and the face of the brand, which is really important, you're going to want between 3 and 3.5 inches. That way, as your cow herd or your bull matures and they grow, that you're not going to have too small or too big of a brand. From there, just a basic rice root brush, Premier clippers with 7112 blades, or if you have a set of flathead clippers with fine blades, you just really want to get that hair close enough. That way the application is more to the skin, not so much the hair. Another big part is probably making sure your equipment in terms of squeeze chute and your clippers are all running properly. But you are going to probably need some extra hands, so if you can plan a day where you know that at your particular operation everybody's going to be there, or you have at least a day to chew up doing this, would probably be the most effective. But from there, you'll really need a stopwatch, and usually somebody running that. We like to apply our brands for 1 minute per brand, and usually, probably for the cumbersome part of it, we just like to do 2 at a time.
So can you walk us through that actual procedure? Once you get set up, you got them in the chute, walk us through the procedure we use here at OSU.
Right, so as we back up and we think that we've gotten our dry ice, we've gotten our methanol, and we have our brands, it's typically best that in the morning, if you can have all that stuff, and then you will put it in your styrofoam cooler, or a plastic cooler works just fine. You'll chop up your ice at least into small, what I would say ice cubes, and then you'll put your brands on top of the ice, and then you pour in the methanol, and we like to put the methanol where it at least covers the brand a couple inches above that, the face of the brand. And then you'll let them activate for probably around 1.5 to 2 hours. You shave a square. We usually like to start at the hip bone, and we make, your square can be as level as you can make it, because that'll help kind of your canvas of keeping your brand level, straight. That way everything looks nice from a presentation standpoint. After you've cleaned the area off with your rice root brush, you will apply it. As you start to apply it, somebody will start a stopwatch, and you will go for 1 minute. And our numbers are a 4-number system, so you typically think that you have about 2 minutes wrapped up in just the application. I would say if you really wanted to plan out your time, probably plan for about 4 to 5 minutes per head.
So once we get that part done, what do we start to see on the back end of this? I know we are going to eventually see hair grow back in white.
Right.
We know that they show up better on black and red
Right.
cattle than they do lighter shades of cattle.
Right.
But what's the timeline on that?
So as fast as 24 hours, you'll actually see it start to blister up a shade under that skin, and that's what's kind of making the scab. But really, typically around here, you won't see them scabbing over or the scab coming off for about 4 weeks. And then consequently to the scab coming off, you're probably gonna wait another 4 weeks and you'll start to see the white hair as the hair's growing. This is a year-round project. We like to do it always before breeding season. We try to plan 8 weeks out in advance, and that way, basically by the time you're checking heats, the brands can be coming off and they can be filling back in. So
basically, we try to do it when hair is growing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Mark.
And appreciate you all joining us on Cow Calf Corner.